Good morning, good morning. It is Monday, the 3rd of March, 2025. I'm Graham Hughes. You're watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. Big shout out to all the wonderful people in the chat. We call them the socialites. We've got Reagan Elite in there. We've got Tripod 9000, Roxy Rules. We've got Scott in there, Veg Pie. We've got Pete's Music, Rosie 2911. Loads of lovely people. David Parker's in there as well, and Jenny Davis. If you would like to join them in the chat, all you need to do is just hit that subscribe button and you can join them almost in real time. You write what you like, don't be a troll, or we will mute you and boot you. Okay, so today we're going to be talking, obviously, about Trump, JD Vance, and their treatment of Zelenskyy on Friday, and obviously the fallout over the weekend. So, the MAGA cultists have absolutely 100%, no doubt about it, crossed the line, as I said they would, as I knew they would, because I said for a long time, America is finished, because they elected a gangster who is a Russian agent to be their president. What did you think was going to happen? So they crossed the line from dangerous incompetence to outright treachery. In any normal, form of the world, these people would be put on trial by their own country for crimes against America and possibly sentenced to death for their crimes against America. That's how serious they are. They don't stand with Ukraine. They don't stand with democracy. They don't stand for America. They stand for themselves. They stand with Putin, the Kremlin, and the forces of authoritarianism, and the oligarchs, the billionaire backers of these bastards who just want to bankroll the world into oblivion. So today we're going to be talking about the fallout of what happened on Friday, and also the Lancaster House summit, which shows the growing divide between Europe and Canada, and and the US, and what this means for the rest of the world. There's a really sharp comparison here with Brexit, which was also in Russia's and China's interests to cleave the UK from Europe. This is what the fascists wanted, right? Because they hate Europe. Because Europe regards human rights and workers' rights and individual liberty and privacy as more important than the bank the bank accounts of the billionaires. It's as simple as that. That's where they draw the line. They say, look, it's all very well, people making money. We are a capitalist club, after all, as Alexity is never tired of telling everyone, but we are going to put the people who work and live in Europe's rights and safety and protection first, before the profit of big mega corporations, or MAGA corporations in this case. And so they've hated Europe for a long time. Russia has hated Europe since forever because Russia wants to be Europe. It's a bit like a self-hating gay person or a self-hating trans person who would go out and be trans if only they could get over the fact that they're trans. They just really, really want to be this thing. They want really. So in the same way that, someone who's gay and who is incredibly homophobic at the same time, you're like, how does that work? Well, it's a bit like Russia. They really, really want to be European. They want to be seen as European. They don't want to be seen as Asian for some reason. I don't see anything wrong with Asia, but they don't want to be seen as Asian. They want to be part of Europe. This has been an ongoing project for 500 years now, since the reign of Peter the Great. They've looked towards Europe and gone, oh, we'll have some of that. We want some of that. But they've tried to impose their values and their mentality over the rest of Europe. And they were successful for a while. After the end of the Second World War, we divvied up Europe between the Free West and the Soviet sphere of influence, the 15 countries that used to make up the Soviet Union, as well as places like Czechoslovakia, Poland, and East Germany, which, were supposed to run their own things. But they didn't. If they tried to, the Soviets would invade and kill everyone. So, they were ruled with an iron fist by Moscow. But of course that fell apart, because that kind of shit can't last. Because you can't subdue the human spirit. And everyone was looking over the wall, metaphorically, and seeing freedom in the West and going, yeah, I'll have some of that. and the Soviet Union collapsed. And don't forget, Putin was a child of the Soviet Union. He grew up believing that the Soviet Union was the greatest force for good the world has ever seen. So he hates Europe, but wants to be part of Europe at the same time. He hates himself, but wants to be that thing that he hates at the same time. And those people are really fucking dangerous. I think you probably know some people who you've met in your life, through whatever, and they're like that. There's a particular type of human psychology, like self-hating people who are like, I want to be this, I want to be the part of this group, but also I hate this group because I'll never be part of them. And you're like, okay, whatever. Maybe if you started acting more European, then people would accept Russian influence a bit more. If Russian influence was nice, if Russian influence wasn't authoritarianism, murdering people with polonium and Novichok, blowing them up in planes and throwing them out of fucking windows, sending them off to die in a Siberian fucking labor camp, maybe Europe might be a bit more welcoming to the Russian way of doing things. But as it stands, Russia looks fucking horrible to the vast majority of us who go, no, I don't want that. I don't want that for me. I certainly don't want it for my country, and I don't want it for, any country, really. I mean, all things being equal. But yeah, Brexit cleaved the UK off from the European Union. A huge victory for the Kremlin. A huge victory for the Kremlin. And now they've got their Russian agents in the White House. Who's been working with them since 1987, Krasnov. They got him into the White House again, and this time they'd manoeuvred into a situation where a position where the Supreme Court ruled that anything the president does is legal, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants to do. And so we have this new world where the US is cleaving itself away from the rest of the West, away from Canada, away from Europe, away from all of its former allies, and cozying up to the brutal, totalitarian, imperialist, expansionist regime of Vladimir Putin. A regime bathed in blood, not just of the innocent people on MH17, the Malaysian Airlines plane that they blew out the sky, innocent people on board, and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of innocent people in Ukraine, women, children, the elderly, who have been wiped out, murdered brutally by Russia's goons, Russia's mercenaries. Some of them aren't even Russian. Some of them have come over from North Korea or mercenaries from North Africa coming over to fight for Putin. Well, for money, really. Bankrolled by the oil companies, bankrolled by these big oil giants who are just like, we just want the oil. We don't care who dies, we just want the oil. Yeah. But yeah, this wedge that has been driven between the UK and Europe, hopefully that wedge is thawing now. But then, America's a much bigger deal. A much, much bigger deal. And the US is tearing itself away from its allies, leaving who to reap the rewards? Russia and China. This is the long-term goal of China for years. This is one of the reasons why China went round with the Belt and Road project, funding stuff in Africa, because they wanted to cleave these countries away from America. They wanted to make it so that American influence wasn't such a big thing in all of these places. They wanted their influence instead. They wanted these countries to look to China for loans, for business, for opportunities, for trade. And now they've got all their Christmases. I know they celebrate Christmas really in China, but all their Christmases have come at once. Like, this is fantastic for authoritarian regimes, for us to lose America. But now we have to take the next step forward and go, what's our world going to look like without America? But before we go on, we've got a couple of super chats. Hey, Paul Ewan, thank you very much. Europe united will never be defeated. Sing it. Oh, thanks, Paul, for the super chat. I'm not going to sing. Can't sing for shit. Hey, thank you very much, Katrina, as well. £5. Good morning, Graham. The Marsh family published a really good song on YouTube about Vance and Trump ambushing Zelensky due to their loyalty to Putin. I'll have to check that out, Katrina. They're quite funny, the old Marsh family. Well, they seem to have pissed off James O'Brien. Then again, I seem to have pissed off James O'Brien. I'm blocked on Blue Sky. He follows me on Threads, but he's blocked me on Blue Sky. I don't know what I've done. Anyway, so moving on. So the Oval Horror Show. Let's just talk about this. Trump and JD Vance's groveling, sycophantic, fanboy worship, arse-licking competition for Vladimir Putin. You know, this is the president and the vice president elbowing each other out the way to see who could chortle Vladimir Putin's balls harder. Do you know what I mean? That's where we are right now. The president and the vice president competing, not to make Americans' lives better, not to drive down the prices of eggs or help people with Medicare, Medicaid, people who are, you know, going through difficult times in their life, maybe helping people get off the drugs that the pharmaceutical industry in America has addicted them to. No. They're on their knees, elbowing each other out the way, going, this is an arse that I must lick. Vladimir Putin. Sorry if you're having your breakfast right now. You probably don't want that image in your head. Unbelievable. Absolutely disgusting way that they behaved. Like fucking playground bullies. And good on Zelenskyy. Like, he knew that was coming. I did a morning brew last Wednesday where I said he was walking into a trap. Was he walking? Was I right? I know they didn't kill him, but like, was I right? Yeah, they walked into a trap. They tried to humiliate him on the world stage. And yeah, I think it's blown up in their faces because they look like disgusting, incompetent playground bullies. JD Vance's tone, you know, talking down to Zelenskyy like a school teacher scolding a child. And it was like, and Zelenskyy said, have you ever been to Ukraine? He said, no, but I've seen pictures, something. Watched a video. What a prick. What an arsehole. What an absolute goddamn gargantuan twat. And then, yeah, Trump's narcissism, like, say thank you. Go on, say thank you. Say thank you. Yeah. Zelenskyy said thank you publicly to America on at least 33 occasions, and a few of those occasions were directly to President Trump. But you need to say it again. Say thank you. Say thank you. Now, why should I fucking say thank you? These other countries were willing to give money to Ukraine to fight against the aggressor coming into their country, these barbarians coming over the borders into Europe and killing our people in Europe, right? And you want to make it into a fucking deal? You want to make it into a thing, well, I'll help you out, but quid pro quo, I want access to those minerals. I want this, I want that, I want a rabbit in a hat. And you're like, oh my God, like, you know, the Kremlin, the champagne was flowing, the corks were popping all over Moscow. This is like all of our Christmases come at once. And they do actually celebrate Christmas in Russia, but on the same day as the rest of us. And Zelenskyy's response was calm, composed. He refused to apologize. He refused to give in to their stupid deal. It was absolute class, actually. And there's a point that like someone else made, but it's a good point, so I'm going to make it as well. He must have known this was coming. I knew this was coming. You knew this was coming because you watched me on this show and you went, oh yeah, Graham said this will probably happen. And yeah, he went in anyway. He went in anyway because he knew that his country was at stake, but he didn't sell out his country. He didn't sell out his country. He didn't go for this deal with no assurances from the US that they were going to stop Russia. And just for a little backstory here, what's happened is Trump at the beginning of last week said, oh yeah, we'll put US peacekeepers in there. And Vladimir Putin called him up and said, niet. And he backtracked and he said, okay, the EU, the Europeans, they can send some peacekeepers in. And he said that in public. And then he got a phone call from his boss, Vladimir Putin, because he's in charge of America right now. God, I'd hate to be American. Imagine being American right now. How embarrassing would it be? You know, with all their bluster and all that, oh yeah, we're the leaders of the free world. And now they're all on their knees, all 330 million of them on their knees to Vladimir Putin. Of all people. Anyway, Putin got on the phone. Niet, no peacekeepers, niet. And Trump said, okay, yes, master. That's probably how he sounds. I don't know. I'll put him on mute. Can't hear his voice. It annoys me too much. What a groveling little sycophantic bastard he is. What a horrible little toady man. Putin, tell me what to do, Putin. I don't know how to do anything unless Daddy Putin tells me to do it. Pathetic. Fucking pathetic. This is incel culture. This is the triumph of the incels. These sad, deluded bastards who, can't for whatever reason get themselves a partner, and instead of, I don't know, working on themselves to try and be a better person, they just blame the other opposite sex usually. Oh, it's all their fault. They're all lesbians, probably. That's it. Yeah, let's go after the lesbians. And this idea that these incels are going, they're sitting there and they're like, do you know what trans people do? They pretend to be a woman, and then you find out after you've had all sex with them that they were a man. Because, yeah, that happens all the fucking time, mate. Maybe in 90s so-called comedy films. But, in reality, I've never met a trans person who hasn't told me they were trans pretty quickly. And this isn't about like, hey, you can always tell, because you can't. Spent a lot of time in Thailand. Let me tell you, you can't always tell. It's about like just common decency. Like people just do that. It's like, oh, I'm going to trap you into coming out with a meal for me. And the incels believe this, right? But the joke is, like, the incels have ever going to go on a date with a woman, trans or otherwise. Like, good luck with that, mate. But these sad, deluded bastards, so angry with the world, but not giving them all their shit. It's privilege, white privilege mostly. Just writ large, male white privilege. Why can't I get free stuff? Why can't I get a partner? Why can't I? And it's like, if you are marching out of step with everybody else in the platoon, it's probably not the rest of the platoon that are in the wrong. That's what I'm saying. And it's just to think of what's the problem in this situation, And I've been single. I've been single for many years, and it's shit. I don't like being single, But I worked on myself. I did the things that you need to do. I compromised. I made sacrifices in order to maintain a relationship. It's what you've got to do. You gotta be nice. You can't be a fucking twat all the time. This is why that horrible little taint creep, take Tristan, and his brother. This is why they're such fucking nightmares, because they say to people, what you want to do is negging. You want to be horrible to women, and then they'll like you if you're horrible to them, because they'll be like, oh, he tells me what to do. Now, most women, right, don't like that. There's a minority of women who might go, oh, God, that's quite funny. And if you're charming and good looking and charismatic enough, you might get to sleep with them. But I'll tell you this now, you don't get to stay with them. Because within a week, they'll be like, you are a narcissistic pig. Fuck off. And they'll leave. Get out of there. And do you know what? As well, one of the good things that's come from the internet and TikTok and all that, Snapchat, people can spot a narcissist now a mile away. Better than they ever could before. Also, it's easier to get divorced now than it was ever before. So, if you're with a narcissist, maybe look elsewhere. There's plenty more fish in the sea. Anyway, so how do you think like Trump's behavior compares with past presidents? And you think of like, would Reagan, would even George W. Bush do this? I mean, or Clinton, or even Nixon? Could you imagine like Nixon, the crook president before this crook president? Could you imagine him like sitting there with the leader of Taiwan saying, right, this is it. You're the Republic of China. Well, we're going to backheel you, and we're going to go with the People's Republic of China, and they're going to get your spot on the UN Security Council in front of the world's cameras. How'd you feel about that, dickhead? Taiwan, yeah. How'd you like them apples? I mean, you'd be like, what the hell? But yeah, that was a moment of infamy. That'll go down in history like 9/11 or Pearl Harbor. That honestly, it's of that magnitude, because this is a resetting of the relationships of the world right now that is going on. This is huge. We are living in history, and God, that old quote that always comes back from Terry Pratchett, this apparent Chinese curse, which is may you live in interesting times. Anyway, yeah, could you imagine like George H.W. Bush being the leader of of Kuwait in and saying, well, you did bring it on yourself for Iraq to invade you. Yeah, totally brought that on yourself, knobheads. It's all your fault, really, if you think about it. You hadn't been a different country and neighbour that aggressive other country that had been at war with its other neighbour for 10 years throughout the 1980s, a war in which trench warfare came back and over 1 million people died. But, he's in the right. Saddam's in the right. He's a strong man. We like strong men. Anyway, so we've got we had the Lancaster House summit, and it really warmed. I usually do a bit of a sort of collage thing for my thumbnails, but this one I just thought, no, I'm just going to put the picture that they did themselves of them on the steps, because I thought it was just a strong picture, such a strong image with Keir Starmer, Macron, and Zelenskyy at the front, front and proud, and leading the world. Something that I'm not used to seeing from Britain, because we stopped leading the world in 2010 when the craven Tories got into power, and they did everything in their power to dismantle our influence and our interest in the rest of the world. Very much isolationists, and you saw that with the Brexit referendum and everything. And very much, we can stand on our own 2 feet. We don't need anyone's help. Saying all this while we're absolutely, in hock to America, and we can't do anything. We can't even launch our fucking nuclear missiles unless America gives us permission. And it's like, if we're going to break away from anyone, guys, should we break away from our friends and neighbours who we trade a lot with, or should we trade? I mean, it's going to be shit for our economy moving away from America, but we can make up for a lot of that trade by going back into Europe in a big way, and it's something that we need to do. We've now got this, the coalition of the willing. I love the fact that they've co-opted that term. And can I just say, Starmer so far hasn't put a foot wrong. He really hasn't. And I know we don't see eye to eye, a lot of us, with Starmer and the way he's done things with Labour. And maybe we are feeling a little bit disappointed in the way that they've reacted and handled things. And their comms, they talk to me about their comms. However, in this instance, I am so glad that we have Starmer as our leader and not Kemi Badenoch and not Liz Truss, who last week was at a conference sharing a stage with a guy doing a Nazi salute. Our former Prime Minister, Anne of 11 Days, or whatever the fucking name was. What was it? Liz of 44 Days. She's there on stage with a guy doing a Nazi salute. Our Prime Minister. Or Boris Johnson going, whoop, 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 having a meeting with the heads of state, the heads of governments from across Europe and Canada. And then he'll take all the notes and he'll go to a fucking sordid little sex party in the Alps with all these gruesome old men and teenage prostitutes all fucking and giving each other secret documents and doing lines of cocaine or whatever it is that rich, horrible little twats like Boris Johnson do. Don't forget, never ever forget, that while you couldn't see your own parents, while you couldn't go to the funerals of your family members, your friends, your colleagues, your co-workers, your neighbours, they were partying. Boris Johnson was having a fucking party every night. Never forget that. I mean, even Theresa May, I don't think could have stepped up. She always seemed weak to me. I think Starmer's done a fucking fantastic job under very, very difficult circumstances. Even Ed Davey said yesterday in an interview, he said, yeah, credit where credit's due. I think Starmer's done really well. I think Ed Davey actually said, I wouldn't like his job. Like, I really wouldn't want to be doing that right now. I'm glad he's doing it, not me. And I think there's a lot of us who feel that way at the moment. I would not want that job for all of the tea in China. And I really like tea. Trolling America with Coalition of the Willing. Very proud of Keir. Yeah, absolutely. Coalition of the Willing. Because let's not forget, right? 9/11 was the first time that Article 5 of NATO was activated. So NATO was founded in 1949, and it's since grown now to 32 countries. But it wasn't quite that many in 2001. But it wasn't just NATO countries. It was there was over 120 nations around the world that signed up to help America to stop this from ever happening again. And in that respect, they were successful. They did stop a terrorist atrocity on the scale of 9/11 ever happening again. I mean, we've had terrorist atrocities since then, but it's not been on the same scale. So arguably, mission successful, I guess. I mean, it destabilized the whole entire Middle East and made things worse for people who live there, and caused a 10-year civil war in Syria and the rise of ISIS. And oh god, there's so many awful things that happened as a result. But at least those countries, at least NATO, went in and said, "Look, America, you've been attacked. We're going to help out." Has America ever said thank you for that? When have I seen a president coming over here, making a big speech, on his knees outside Parliament, saying, "I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the British people for helping us out in those wars 10, 20 years ago. Thank you, thank you, thank you." Can I say thank you enough? No. We'll say it again, motherfucker. And he go, "Oh, thank you." I mean, come on. Seriously? Did we not help America out? And I heard that little fucking snivelling rat man, Ali Mirage, on the radio yesterday. It really wound me up because he's a proper Tory. He's a PSM hire, private school, rich. Oh, they won't get me, I'm rich. And then you've got the fact that he's obviously a DEI hire because he's not white. I don't think he knows that he's not white. I don't know. Maybe he's got one of those funny mirrors where you look into it and you see something. Maybe he's got a shallow Hal thing going on, but it's with his skin colour. I don't know, because he's a fucking idiot. And he's kind of going, "Oh, well, Trump has got a point. America was, treated very badly by the EU," because he's a massive Brexiteer. And the EU is just the protectionist club. I'm like, yes, America is a protectionist club. China is a protectionist club. Russia is a protectionist club. The EU, yes, it's protectionist, but it still does free trade deals. And America had, Ali, 50 fucking years to do a trade deal with the EU, but it chose not to because it didn't want a free trade deal with the EU because it might be a problem for American workers, and it was protecting the workers' rights of America. The deals that America would want to do would fuck over the people who live in Europe, so why would we sign up for that? We're not idiots. And he's there going, sticking up for the fascists. Ali, once they've killed all the transgender people, once they've killed all of the Jews, once they've killed all of the gays and the people who, it's like me, who speak out on the fucking internet saying these guys are a bunch of knobheads, who are they going to turn to next, Ali? Because I say they'll come after me. I can grow a beard, I can change my appearance, I can get plastic surgery. Can't change the colour of your skin, mate. You fucking dickhead. What do you think fascists do to people like you? To people like you who are a minority in a country where it's very easy to whip up the crowds, the mob, to go and attack people who look like you. Have a look what happened last fucking summer, Ali. Look what happened last summer. Fucking idiot. I mean, I'm sorry, but it really pisses me off when people who would suffer the worst in a proper autocratic society. What do they do to Muslims in China? What do they do to the Uyghur Muslims in China? What did they do to the Rohingya Muslims in Burma? What did they do? What did they do, Ali? And he's sitting there going, "Oh, no, it's all right. I'm rich. Daddy paid for me to go to private school. They won't come after me. I'm rich." You fucking tit. The Jews in 1930s Germany, they were rich as well. Yeah, they had loads of money. Some of them thought that the money would protect them. They didn't. The Nazis kicked down their door. They stole all their fucking money and sent them off to a death camp. You fucking knob. And I'm sorry, gloves are off now. I'm sick and tired of hearing these mealy-mouthed apologists for fascism. And when it's a white supremacist who's actually fucking white, I think, well, he's a fucking knobhead. But, the knobhead stakes goes up so much when it's someone like Ben Habib sticking up for the fucking refuck party. He's left now because he's realised it's awful and it's white supremacist. But he's like, yes, we need to be British against all. And I'm like, I'm really accepting. I love people coming from all over the world and being British and coming here and becoming British. But there are a minority of twats in this country who will never, ever accept people who don't look like me living in this country. That's the sad reality of the fact. And I don't want everyone to look like me because, I'm not that great. You know what I mean? Beards wouldn't look good on women, I don't think. But, there was the winner of the Eurovision Song Contest who had a beard. Yeah, I like that. Anyway, Ivan Ambrose, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Ivan, I'm still suffering from the severe panic attack I had caused by Trump and Vance on Friday. I had to have extra medication. An ambulance was called for, but I called it off. Bloody hell, Ivan. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. I don't know if you should be watching this because it might just enrage you some more. Although I am going to sort of be ending on a note of hope. But yeah, honestly, Ivan, like I set up the Friday night social for Mikey to do, but I put it to unlisted, and I was intended to put it onto public, before the show started, a few hours before the show started. But because of what happened with Trump, like I was out with the kids, we were bowling in Liverpool, and my phone's going fucking crazy, and it's all like all my politics groups that I'm in going, if you seen what's happened, I'm trying to fucking find out and honestly, that motherfucker ruined my birthday in a way. I still had a nice time, still saw my mates, still went out for a drink, but like it was overshadowed by this whole fucking absolute horror of what this motherfucker had done. But here's something, Ivan. They're not going to get away with it. They're not going to get away with it. And the good thing is, this is driving us back into the arms of Europe like you would not believe. Just look at the summit that we had yesterday, with the UK and France leading the charge, the possible deployment of troops. Good, do it. Fucking do it. Send British and French troops to fucking Ukraine. I know people in the army who are like chomping at the bit to go to Ukraine and defend Europe against the invaders. Maybe some in the army don't disagree with that and don't want to do that. Okay, fair enough, right? I don't know if it's for everyone, but I believe that the only way to stand up against bullies is by showing them strength. And that's why Putin, and by extension Trump, absolutely hate Zelenskyy, because he shows strength. He has stood up and become the personification of his nation's struggle against the tyrant, billionaire, oligarch, murderous, barbarous bastards, rapists, scum coming over the borders into Europe, into our continent, invading our continent. I can't stress this enough. And I know I'm talking divisively. I know I'm talking about us and them. Don't give a fuck. They have invaded us. And Ukraine is part of our continent. Our continent. And if we are going to take credit for good things that we have done in this country, when it wasn't even us that did it, winning a World Cup. I didn't do that. I didn't win 2 world wars. I went out for a drink with my mates. I didn't personally do that. But someone did. And I feel proud that someone did. Yes. But at the same time, I've got to realize my obligations to the people of our continent, to keep them safe, to stop the butchery that is going on right now in Ukraine, where every night women and children are having to huddle down in the basement without power in the middle of winter. Children's hospitals going without power because it's been cut off by the fucking Russians. This is not acceptable. So yes, troops, I'm all for it. Absolutely 100%. Because I'll say this again, Russia is a paper tiger. If they have any working nukes at all, I will be incredibly surprised. I can't believe they haven't used them yet. If they have got tactical battleground nuclear weapons, I don't think they have. Nuclear material has a half-life. You have to keep topping it up because it keeps decaying into something else. That's the whole point of it. It's an unstable isotope and it likes to decay. And when it decays, obviously you can create a chain reaction and blow shit up. But you have to keep at it. You have to keep it maintained. And I've said this a million times before, but I'll say it again. America spends more on maintaining its nuclear weapons than Russia spends on its entire military. End of. All of its drones, all of its planes, all of its boats, all of its fucking ships, all of its soldiers. All that Russia's got is meat. That's all they have. They have loads and loads of meat. Loads of human meat to go and keep going. Floods of meat. And long may that may last a very long time. It might last a very, very long time because Russia can continue rounding people up from North Korea and, some kind of perverse Squid Game thing and offering them 485 billion won in order to fucking kill themselves in this battle royale in eastern Ukraine. Some people believe him. Bless. John C, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. 5,000 Ukrainian troops were involved in Iraq over 5 years, and Ukraine was involved in Afghanistan for 14 years. Best wishes to you, Ivan. Can I reiterate those best wishes as well? Thank you very much for the super chat, John C. And also, you're absolutely right. 5,000 Ukrainian troops. And number 3 there says £2 super chat. Thank you very much, Richard. The Gaza AI video has been eclipsed. It's one thing after another, isn't it? But yeah, doing that on my fucking birthday. What a bastard. What a twat. That scumbag. Bush. Not in that one. Trump. God, you know, I'm looking back now at the days of Bush and thinking, bloody hell. You know, I gave him a lot of shit at the time, but he wasn't this bad. He wasn't this stupid. He wasn't this corrupt. But there you go. UN's future security. There was talk of turning it into this wonderful expression, steel porcupine, that Russia can't invade again. And other European nations are stepping up. We've got the Baltics, we've got the Nordic countries, we've got Turkey, we've got more. We've also got Canada as well. And this is like Brexit in reverse, kind of. I think this is going to be the anti-Brexit, because now America is isolating itself, and America was the only thing that the Brexiters had. It's like, we'll do more trade with America. Well, they'll say rest of the world, but they really meant America. Because when you drill down into it and you said, what do you mean by the rest of the world? He said, we'll do more trade with Japan. And it's like, Japan? We already have a free trade deal with Japan through the EU. We'll do more trade with Canada. We've already got a free trade deal with Canada through the EU. Oh, we'll do more trade with Australia and New Zealand. Oh, cool. Oh, those tiny countries by population on the other side of the planet. Oh. You really mean America, don't you? You really mean America. That's the only thing that could possibly replicate the EU in terms of money, customers base, whatever, innovation. Yeah, I mean America. And America is ridiculously protectionist and always has been. Don't tell Ali Mirage that. He thinks that the EU are the baddies in all this. Stupid twat. Clip that up, send it to him. I'm not saying what he did was right. I understand. I understand why he did it. Oh, fuck off. Yeah, when you're sitting there going, I understand fascists. I understand fascism. Fascism makes sense to me. Shropshire Chris, I'm sorry, like, did I miss anything? Yes. Shropshire Chris, you missed everything. Anthony said, I used to get shouted at like that in my last job working for a local authority. It was unpleasant, but it didn't get them anywhere. Well, that's good news. It didn't get them anywhere. SG says to Ivan, sending hugs. Not sure if words help. Do switch off. We all need to do other things and try and keep our balance. Absolutely. Ivan, I appreciate just how you felt, because I felt like an absolute gut punch when I read what had happened and then saw the footage. It was horrifying, and it was one of those things where I can only equate it to finding out that what you suspected to be true but hoped it wasn't, when it comes to betrayal of a friendship or maybe an illness or something like that. And then you get the news and you just get that feeling in your stomach of like, oh, for fuck's sake. You know, I thought I'd steel myself for this, but then in the actuality, it's very difficult. Ivan Ambrose, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. The state visit needs to be stopped. The vast majority of British people don't want Trump coming to the UK. I know in reality it could still happen, but massive numbers send a very powerful message. Yes, indeed. And thank you very much, Ivan. I actually have a different take on this. I think he should come over here, and I think he should see the crowds. I think they should engineer it in such a way that he has to do the walk of fucking shame. You know, like from Game of Thrones. Maybe not naked, no one wants to see that, but like have someone ring a bell as he's paraded through the streets of old. What was the old capital of the UK? Was it Winchester? Was it old Winchester? But you know, ringing the bells, going shame, while we all pelt him with shit and rotten fruit. That's what I want. I'd love that. That'd be brilliant. But no, maybe we can't throw rotten fruit at him because it'll be a security nightmare. But yeah, let him come. Let him see the crowds. Let him see the hatred. Let him see how many people absolutely hate Donald Trump and want him to, not be here anymore. Let's put it that way. I was speaking this weekend to lifelong Conservative voters, right? And they were talking about, I hope someone, Luigi's the motherfucker. I mean, they didn't use those words, but I was like, wow. Whew. Yeah. And if you've got elderly conservative voters saying that, I think you've lost any kind of credibility in this country that you had to start with. People who didn't like Trump in this country, they find him brash and disgusting and obnoxious and all the, like I said yesterday, all the things we secretly think that Americans are like, which they aren't. I mean, some Americans are really lovely, but we all secretly think they're all a bit like that. And when someone comes along and they're just so stereotypically horrible, like Donald Trump, he's just watched a load of 70s movies, hasn't he? He's gone, the guy who plays the sheriff in those 70s movies, he's like corrupt and evil and stupid. I want to be him when I grow up. And then we've got the fact that Europe is now being forced to take the lead on security, which, come on, it's fair enough. It's our continent. Fuck America. The thing is, though, like, the way that Trump puts this shit across is like, oh, look at all the things we've done for you. You should say thank you. You should say thank you. But America set this up in this way so we would always be at the beck and call of America. We would have to buy our weapons and our weapons systems from America. Now, not all of them, obviously, but we're reliant on America for our tech. That reliance created a monopoly so America could charge whatever the fuck they wanted. We took money off our taxpayers for years, and we took that tax money and we gave it to the industrial military complex in America. That's what we did. The military industrial complex, even if we get it the right way around. We gave all these companies that make weapons, weapons to murder humans, murder machines. We gave money from people who are earning fuck all and having to pay VAT on what they buy, having to pay a little bit of income tax on what little income they get, and that some of that money was going to America. It's not going to go to America for much longer, I'll tell you that now. Number 3, thank you very much for the super chat, my friend. That is very kind of you this Monday morning. I've discussed the website Technology for Ukraine recently. Very interesting. That could be good. They got rid of better men. Graham says, Captain. Yes, they did. Jane says, we can be subtle. The army choir sang from Les Mis. Hear the people sing as an act of rebellion. Trump was clueless, of course. I mean, did you see him getting the thing? When Starmer gave him the piece of paper and he couldn't read it? I said this yesterday. Imagine if that was Biden. Imagine if Biden was presented by a bit of paper in front of the world's press and went, oh, can you read this for me? They would have come down on him like a ton of bricks. So, yeah, I mean, we've got, this is a global shift in power. This is monumental. This is the end of the 20th century. Well, I mean, the post-war pact. This is the end of the post-war consensus. That's what it is. We're moving in a new direction now. The US has been a cornerstone of the West for 80 years, but Trump is tearing that apart. Russia and China are celebrating as the West fractures. And this is bigger than just Ukraine. This is a fight for the survival of democracy itself. And I know that if the fascists get in, I won't survive. So any of my so-called friends who think that, Trump is great can fuck off forever. I've cut out all of them out of my life. If there's any still hanging around, I will cut them out of my life. Because for some reason, even though they think they're my friends, they want me dead. They want me dead because I'm a gobby scouser, didn't go to posh private school. In the event of the fascists taking over this country, I'll be one of the first against the walls. But then we've also got the minorities in this country who I want to protect, who I innately want to protect. Trans people in particular, who have just been demonized by the right-wing press, the left-wing press, by the Tories, by Labour, by writers on the right, by writers on the left, everyone. Just everyone who's a cunt, basically. So I just demonetized the show, but I really, really hate transphobes. They are the most stupid, disgusting, evil people on the planet, as far as I'm concerned, because they don't let this happen. First, they came for the trans people. I didn't speak out because I wasn't trans. Then they came for gay marriage. Now they're going after women's right to vote in America. And I didn't speak out because I wasn't a lesbian. Oh, I didn't speak out because I wasn't a woman. I didn't speak out because I wasn't, etc., etc. And then they came for me. It's going to happen again if we allow it. So it's our job, it's our duty to fight against this. And that's why it's so important that we look after ourselves, first and foremost. And Ivan, if you're still watching, mate, look after yourself. It's so important that you look after your own mental health before helping anyone else. It's that whole thing of Put the mask on your face before you put a mask on someone else's. And we need to be strong in the future for the fight to come. The fight to come, because we need people who are good. We need people who are decent. Everyone watching this is a decent person, as far as I know. I mean, judging by the comments here, you want what's best for the country, and you want your best for your family and your friends. You want things to be nice. I can't speak for every single one of you. Maybe some of you are sitting out there going, "No, Graham, I want everything to be shit and horrible." But I don't think you are. But we need you, because the people who want things to be shit and horrible for us are on the ascendancy right now, and we need to fight back against them. And here's the secret: there's way, way more than us. There's more of us than there is of them. There's way more of us. It's like 99 to 1. Honestly, it's a ridiculous number. You saw, that image over the summer where like three Nazis, or maybe it was one Nazi, turned up in Brighton, and it was an entire rows of people, like hundreds of people protesting, and there's this like one person with the police standing in front trying to be a big Nazi in Brighton, of all fucking places. That picture sums up what we're looking at right now. There were way more of us than there are of them. And that gives me hope. That really does give me hope. So Trump, NATO's in NATO is looking like it's going to collapse. But that doesn't mean that we have to stop what NATO stands for. I think that we should make a new organization which somehow has democracy in the title, just as another dig at Trump. And we defend democracy. That's what we do. We don't impose democracy on other countries like what Trump's predecessors, presidents wants to do. We're going to give you democracy whether you like it or not. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to defend democracy against Putin and Xi and Trump and anyone else who wants to tear down our democratic structures and ideals. Anyone who wants to take our free speech away from us. Because don't forget, these free speech absolutists are only free speech for themselves. It's not for us. It's not for us. So yeah, NATO, I think, is going to change. The US is going to leave. But that gives us an opportunity to get Mexico on board, to get Australia, New Zealand, Japan, in a coalition of the willing. A coalition of the willing of countries that say, look, we're going to stand up and defend the right of Taiwan, defend the right of Gaza, defend the right of Ukraine, to fight back against, military intervention in their territory. I mean, Gaza's a bit of a weird, it's a bad way of putting it, an awful situation. And obviously it's a bit different that you could argue that the invasion of Gaza was provoked because, October the 7th did happen. Whereas Ukraine did absolutely nothing to provoke Russia except elect a Western-facing leader, democratically elected a Western-facing leader who had, plans to join the EU and NATO, and them going, but we can't have a country with that borders. We need a buffer zone. We need a buffer zone between NATO and Russia. No, NATO's not going to invade Russia. Why the fuck would we want Russia? It's a shithole. Honestly, you've got a couple of nice buildings in Moscow, right? You've got a couple of nice buildings in St. Petersburg, and that's it. You got it's literally thousands and thousands, millions of square kilometers of fuck all. That's what it is. You got a country where the Asian side of it, if you're going to draw the line down the Ural Mountains, which I don't do anymore, but if you're going to do that, like 20% of the population live in that huge fucking area because it's desolate, it's horrible, it's not a nice place to live. Humans don't like it. It's freezing fucking cold. As we're going to find out pretty soon, and when we discover that once the circulating current that keeps us warm here in Western Europe shuts down and we get winters like they have in Siberia. Looking forward to that. Ivan's still with us. Thank you very much to Ivan. Thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Graham with Ali Mirage shamefully defending the bullying by Trump and Vance. Did you think about calling in? Yeah, I was driving in my car, and I was heading back. I was going to my mum's for roast dinner with my family, so birthday roast dinner. So I couldn't have called in, but I find myself sometimes rehearsing the conversations that I would have with these motherfuckers if I did ring in. But I mean, just the stupid, it burns. It really does. It is like he's so stupid and so arrogant that he believes he'll be all right in the event of white supremacists taking control of the UK. I've spoken to Jewish people who think that Trump's boss, and I'm like, what were they chanting again at Charlottesville? Those good people in Charlottesville. What were they chanting? What was the words again? Can you just tell me what the words were that they were fucking chanting? Because it wasn't like, yay, Israel's great. Hey, yeah, screw Gaza. No, that's not what they were chanting. They were chanting something else. Anyway, so yeah, the US is obviously going to withdraw itself from global leadership. Fine, let it go. And let it fucking eat itself. I mean, America's in a bad way at the moment. Really, really bad way. And I'm afraid the lights are going off all over the USA. And I don't think we're going to see them lit again for a fucking long time. I think this is it. This is the end of America's dominance of the world. They're retreating from the world. Like, I don't know. They're just turning their backs on their old allies and chumming up to people who, all things being equal, want them dead. And I think Ali Mavash is a fucking idiot. Oh my god. But Europe will have to defend itself. Can it? Yes. Absolutely. 100%. I don't disagree with that at all. We have nuclear weapons, France and the UK. Okay, not as many as Russia, maybe, if they actually fucking work. But, we're a force to be reckoned with. We've got soldiers who are actually trained, elite soldiers. I know we don't have as many as we did, but we like to talk ourselves down. Let's talk about the whole of Europe, not just the British army, right? The whole of Europe coming together. We outnumber the Russians 5-1, just in terms of troops alone. In terms of spending power, we outnumber them like 100-1. Like, we have the money, we have the tech, we have the people. I mean, we couldn't go toe-to-toe against the USA, but Russia's not the USA. I can't stress this enough. They have a GDP per capita on a par with fucking Grenada. No offense to Grenada, by the way. It's a lovely place. But they don't have as much money as people think that they do. They don't have as much armaments as people think they do. Or tanks or anything. They've lost all their tanks. All they have is meat. Which is what I call their troops, because that's all they're good for, really. It's just getting shot and dying. It's horrible, it's gruesome, it's disgusting, and that's the way that the Trumps and the Putins and the Cheese of the world want to run it. They just want to kill as many people as possible, At least Andre, the cannibal king of Fiji, at least he ate the people that he killed, he did something useful with the dead bodies. All 800 of them. Joanna Hammond, if the US leaves and we add more members such as Australia, we might want to change the name. Yes, I think it should be the Force for Democracy or something. I'll think of a better name. The Democracy Organization of Great Excellence. We'll call it Doge now. But yeah, I think there needs to be a little dig in there that we're defending democracy. Nothing about the West, nothing about the North Atlantic, just the defenders of democracy. The defenders of the earth. Defenders. So yes, I think that I think the date of America's departure from NATO is looming. It's coming ever closer, and we need to sort this shit out. The one of the many things that upsets me so much about this is that we have taken money from overseas aid, which the budget of which was already cut by the fucking Tories. We've cut it even more so we can afford to defend ourselves. And Trump and Putin love that because they love the idea of people in other countries dying. They get off on it because they're sick motherfuckers, and I don't. I hate it. I've been to a lot of the places that are helped by British aid and US aid and aid from all over the world, and yeah, you know what? There is a lot of corruption. Some people don't get the money and they shouldn't. But even if only 1% of that charity that we give gets through to the right people, that 1% is keeping a fuckload of people alive. And I don't want to live in a world where we have everything in the West and everywhere else has nothing. The global South has nothing. I don't want that. I want to be able to travel and visit and go to these places. Just, it's a selfish point of view, not just about I just don't want people to die, clearly. But just from a selfish point of view, I want these places to be nice. I want the people there to be having a good time. So when I go there, I can have a good time with the people who are having a good time. That's just the way. This is the way I am. Just the way I am. What happened to Trump's Space Force? I don't know. Space Force. What happened to his fucking wall, eh? Where did his wall go? My mum says I swear a lot more than he used to. Tends to change it to politics social since Trump got in. I know. Sorry, Mum, if you're watching. But yeah, can't help it. There's a lot to swear about. We're going to very, very quickly do the morning papers. Very quickly. Hand of friendship there. United for Ukraine from the front cover of the Mirror. Starmer seeks Ukraine coalition of the willing from the Times. There's a story about pancakes. And then we've got the King's show of solidarity. Fallout from the Oval Office. We've had a super chat come in from Alexander Campbell. Thank you very much, Alex. How about DATO, Democratic Alliance Treaty Organization? Yeah, that could work. DATO. Yeah, I'll live with that. NATO, the friends. NATO, we're all mates. We're good friends. Friends Alliance. Super friends. King's show solidarity from the Oval Office. Fallout from Oval Office bus stop. Monarchy meets Zelensky just after 48 hours after his row with Trump. PM vows to build coalition of the willing. PM calls for coalition of the willing. We are crossroads of history. Starmer tells Europe, which absolutely is. Time for talk is over. Europe must step up. And then the handshake there with in the Express and also the Independent. Europe to do the heavy lifting as PM pledges missiles for Ukraine. Sending victorious. King meets Zelensky as UK leads bid peace. I love the fact that it was like a big thing for letting the Trump come over to meet the king. And like Zelensky just turns up on a Sunday night. He's like, all right, mate, did you get some pizza? So Starmer takes lead on peace for Ukraine as diplomat king boosts Zelenskyy. Absolutely. And UK and France aim for new Ukraine peace deal after White House fracas. And something I just want to quickly show from yesterday. The roundup. This is just unbelievable. Look at this. Look at this from the Daily Mail. The Daily fucking Mail. Am I seeing things? Is this the real life, or is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. We've got amid outrage over US president's humiliation of Zelenskyy as King hosts the Ukraine leader at Sandringham today. PMs and top brass demand now stop the state visit for bully Trump. Look at that headline. Look at that headline, ye mighty and despair. Bloody hell. The Mail, people. When you've lost the Mail, yeah, I don't think Trump's going to come out of this looking like anything other than the vile, toxic orange slug that he undoubtedly is. The League of Super Friends. Yeah, that's it. The LSF, I like that. The LSF, the League of Super Friends. I think we need democracy in there, though, because that's the whole thing, isn't it? We're defending democracy. Democracy defenders. The Democratic Army, the DA. Defense Against the Dark Arts. How about no gobshites allowed Democracy Club? I like that, Paul. I like that. Anyway, I'll be back tonight with stateside with Mikey. Family, we'll be talking about again, the fallout from America and all that kind of stuff. And anything that might happen, any mad shit that might happen today. Who knows? Stay tuned. Stay tuned for the mad shit, and please come and join us. You get to have your say, obviously, on this show, and we do like the two-way dialogue. I'm sorry I can't read all of your messages, but obviously we wouldn't have time to do that. But thank you. I know that the other people in the chat read them, so that's really cool. So thank you so much for that. Thanks for the super chats, and give us a like on the way out if you are so minded. We always like getting a like because we like it. Also, it helps the algorithm. And if you notice, some of the people in the chat here have a little rose after their name. If you'd like one of those little roses and your name in the closing credits, all you need to do is join the channel. It's only a few quid a month, and it supports the channel and everything that we do here. So if you feel entertained, are you entertained? Then if you join us, that would be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. Peace of mind and all that jazz. Okay, so I'll be back this evening. Until then, thank you very much for watching. I'll say hello, good evening, welcome.